Great, thanks very much, Chris. I was all geared up to give it like a minute before the whole clapping thing. So now you've given me a bit more time. I'm like, oh, right, I've got to eke it out a bit.
No.
There's 5 points that I just need to make really quickly. The first 2 are obviously legislation points, because you know how much I love my legislation.
Yeah.
1st of June, the tenant fee ban now affects all tenancies. We all knew back on the 1st of June 2019 it affected all new written tenancies, but as of the 1st of June this year it affects all tenancies, and that includes periodics. So even if you've got a clause written into your tenancy agreement that states you are charging £1,000 for a new light bulb, you cannot charge that anymore. The tenant fee ban also brought in restrictions with regards to deposits. So all deposits must now be equal to 5 weeks worth of rent. Now, if you're signing a new contract with an existing tenant after the 1st of June, you have to repay the difference of deposit, and that's the deposit equal to the new rent. So if you have increased your rent with your new AST, then you need to start doing the maths on how much deposit you're holding and is it equal to 5 weeks worth of rent. If you allow your tenancy agreements to roll on to periodics, this doesn't affect you, and your amount of deposit that you took, whether that was 6 weeks, whether it was 6 months worth of rent, you can keep that in the deposit scheme and you're not affected. So they're just the first couple of bits that I want to point out. The next one is obviously the 5-year electrical test. We all know that's looming and that's coming in on the 1st of July. We haven't heard anything to say that that's not happening. So we have to assume that it is until we hear otherwise. So as of the 1st of July, any new tenancy signed under an assured short hold tenancy must have a 5-year electrical safety test. And then for some unknown reason, which doesn't give us a year's grace to transition, on the 1st of April next year it will affect every single tenancy. So if you have a periodic or if you sign a new tenancy with your new tenant, you must have a 5-year electrical test. A few things to think about when we're coming out of lockdown. We are expecting an announcement on Sunday, obviously, from Boris with regards to what we're going to do to come out of lockdown. So the things that I'm looking for on Sunday is what revisions they're going to put in with regards to the 3 months notice period, which has been brought in by the Coronavirus Act 2020. At the moment, as we all know, we must serve 3 months notice, whether we are serving a Section 21 or whether we are serving a Section 8. The expectations are one of 2. They will extend the notice period from 3 months to 6 months. They will extend the notice period from the end of June to go to the end of September, which means courts will remain suspended. So that's what we're looking at. We're either looking at all new notices will now have to be 6 months notice, or we are expecting that after the end of June, all notices will still be 3 months, but courts will be suspended until maybe 3 to 6 months prior to that. So we're looking at that. We don't know that's a fact yet. We're waiting for the announcements. What we do know, before lockdown is lifted and before they change anything with regards to the courts, the landlords will be expected to have a pre-action protocol. Now, we've never had this before. We've had it with social landlords. Many social landlords have had pre-action protocol before. This is basically a document that literally bullet points everything you need to do before, during and after a notice is served. We've never had that in the private rented sector before. Scotland have brought it in, and obviously we follow very quickly in regards to what Scotland do. So the Housing Secretary has actually stated that the pre-action protocol will be published and will be law before he announces us coming out of anything with regards to the Coronavirus Act at the end of June. So I'm expecting that probably towards the first, second week of June. I'm expecting the announcement for that. The pre-action protocol will be there and it will be law. The last thing I just want to touch on, interestingly enough, again, Scottish law, so it doesn't affect us right now, but it's quite possible that our English government will follow suit very quickly, and that is a £5 million private sector landlord loan, which has just been announced by the Scottish government. Now, this means any tenant that has not paid their rent during the coronavirus situation, the landlord is allowed to apply to the government directly for that rent to be paid by the government. Obviously, like I say, it's Scottish law only. It doesn't apply to England, but everything that has ever happened in Scottish law seems to happen very, very quickly in English law. So I'd be very interested to hear and see how that manifests in Parliament in the next couple of months. So that's me. I'm done. If anyone's got any questions, I was as quick as I could be.
No, you did well there, Julie. I wasn't aware of the private sector loan, the £5 million that Scotland's making available. So that's really interesting. And we do have a knack of sort of adopting some of the things of Scotland. Not all of them are good, mind you. But
No.
The only other thing I would add about the electrics is that with our HMO, we can get electricians around to certify the common areas, but obviously the electricians aren't happy to go into rooms and stuff like that at the minute. But you can get some parts of the 5-year test done anyway. Julie, that was very valuable. Thank you very much. And I should actually say that Julie also runs a really good Hemel and St Albans property meet, so always worth going along. And Julie leads that. So thanks for that, Julie.